So far we've got the sense of what the values are and the drivers as well. One quick question. Did you notice how some people will have several values and it's kind of difficult to sort out which ones are the key ones, especially if they conflict, like fast car, family, and all kinds of other stuff? Do you see what I mean? How many people had that kind of sort of conflict or a bunch of things going on, you're not quite sure what to give priority to? Would you like to know a very simple way of organizing that in a hierarchy so you know what you absolutely have to offer them, without which they cannot live, and what actually they'd like, but if you can't offer it, it will not be a deal breaker? Would you like to have an easy way of finding that out? Right? You're going to use the contrast principle again. Very simply, let's take two values. For example, let's say we're in a job interview, or you're a consultant helping place people in jobs. And you say, what's important about your job? Well, there's respect, there's money, there is interesting work, right? These are probably relatively common values in finding a job, right? So how do we find out what will actually motivate that person, what they actually need? Let's say your job doesn't pay so well, but it's great in every other respect, right? Or the job sucks, but it pays really well. How are you going to find out who is appropriate for that role? The simple way is you contrast things. For example, let's say we had someone who says, you know, what's important in a job? It's money, it's career prospect, it's status, and it's interesting work, right? So say, great. So tell me, if the job that we will offer you had lots and lots of money, but not really, people didn't really respect it. It wasn't much of a status. I mean, it seems a bit low end, but you get paid a hell of a lot. Would that be okay for you? Well, let me put it another way to you. If we found something else for you where people really respect you, looked up to you, and they thought, wow, that's an amazing job, it just doesn't pay so well, would that be okay with you? Would you be okay with that? Yeah, it would be ideal. Which of those two values is more important to that person? Status, right? Does it mean money is unimportant? No. But they will take status over money, which means if you need leverage point, you leverage on the fact that your job has great status, even if the money is only okay. Do you see how that works? You can contrast any of the values against each other and then find out which ones they can absolutely not live without. And you can basically say, look, if we can offer you two things, if I can give you status or money, which one would you choose, essentially? You can give it to them directly like that, or say, if you had this but not that, is that okay? Or if you had that but not this, is that okay? The different ways of formulating it, but you've got the principle, right? There's another thing you need to know in terms of the fact-finding mission. And again, it'll give you a lot of information, especially in those contexts where people aren't willing to give precise details. Let's say that you're selling to corporations, largely like an IT system, for example. And you're going to ask them, what's your budget? That's going to be a classic sales question. And then we're going to a little bit more sales thing because it's the most easily demonstrated influence process. So what's your budget? How many of you think that the person buying the IT system is going to say, oh, it's this amount? Anyone think that? You'd be right. It doesn't really happen. So you need to still get that kind of information to get a sense of what you're playing with. This is where metaphors become really, really interesting. You can ask them a question. I got this from a great salesperson, a friend of mine called Tron Fu. And basically his question is ingenious. He asks, look, give me a ballpark figure. Are we talking about Fords, Hondas, or Mercedes? So think about the class we're in. I mean, Mercedes is upper end of the scale. He's got a higher budget, a bigger budget, and quality is already implied in that, so you can start testing for things like quality and quality versus cost. Which of the things are more important? Make sense? If it says Ford or some lower quality brand, well, now we have idea that cost might be an issue, and they will be happy to trade quality for cost. Does that make sense? And you also have leverage. Like when you, for example, bring out your whole package and they say, oh my God, that's really expensive. When you can turn around and say, well, you did say you wanted a Mercedes, didn't you? I mean, this is not just a Mercedes, this is the Rolls-Royce of the IT world. Now, if I misunderstood you and you really wanted a Honda, please let me know. We'll see if we can have a different package. But do you notice how I'm now leveraging against his value? No, I want the Rolls Royce. Well, if you want a Rolls Royce, you're going to have to pay for a Rolls Royce. They don't come in Christmas crackers, right? Do you see how that works? So if a person's reluctant to give you information directly, then put them in a scenario, a metaphor, that will still give you the information in a more indirect sort of way. Make sense? All this so far, so good?